Namaste everybody. Today I'll be talking to you about how to connect Ka-Naada keyboard to Linux uh, workstations or Linux desktops. Okay, so we'll walk through some of the steps as to what is involved in trying to get this. So normally what we have to do is we have to install one or two packages. So in Linux, once we log in, so it will be under your systems. There is a package manager called Synaptic Package Manager. So try to get it going. And once you click on it, it'll ask you for the password. So once you enter your password, root password, so it will come to a screen like this. So I already opened it for you. The second thing is we need to download a couple of things. So it might have come in your CDs, or if you go to our website, www.ka-naada.com/downloads. Okay, so if you go to this website, so you will see a folder for Linux. If you come down all the way in the website, you will see some documentation for Linux. So once you go down there, you download a file, which is a zip file. So it's way down here. So you got other options here. For Linux, you just choose this download file. So once you download, you're going to get a folder, zip file. So try to unzip it if possible outside, and you should see two files. All right. So you're going to see two files, and this is the two files that we'll need quite a bit. So one is a readme.txt, other one is a file called Ka-Naada. So if you open readme.txt, which I've already opened down here, all right. So there are a couple of instructions in the beginning. So we're just going to follow it one by one a little bit. So you need to open a terminal in Linux. So if you go to applications, you see something called terminal, the very first command. It will open a terminal like this, like a DOS shell. All right. So in this terminal, you just copy and paste these things, sudo cp and this particular file. So if you had unzipped this file, and it might be sitting under desktops, so kindly go to that directory. So if you say tilde, it will take you to your home directory. Tilde is the wiggly sign that you see on the very top of your keyboard, left to number 1. Okay. So when you go there, so if you do ls, it shows all the directories. You see a directory called downloads. So you go to downloads. Okay. And then you should see the files that you have downloaded down there. So ls is the command to list the directories. So you see this layouts underscore 1.1.zip. Okay. So that's this folder down here. All right. So normally once you unzip it, you kind of you should see these two files. So these two files normally will be in this folder. So what you do down there is you just copy that to this folder. So you just execute this command. So the other option is to use your mouse. If you are downloading, you can say send to and also try to create this one, or you can copy this file, right, and then go and paste it. But then again, you need to be a root login to copy like that. So what it does is it's going to, when you execute this command, it's going to ask you for a permission. Okay, so you tend to give that permission. Say for instance, let me see where I've got this downloaded. So I got a folder somewhere. It's probably in the desktop in my case. So I'm going to go back to the desktop. Okay. So I'm going to desktop and see if this file is there. So you can see when I do ls, so you'll see these files, right? Anyway, I don't, yeah, this directory called layouts. All right. So I can see these two files. And here is what I do here. I just copy and paste this command. So first go to the directory where you unzipped, whether it's in the desktop or any other directories, and then execute this paste. All right. So it's going to ask you for the password. So I give the root password. Okay. Depending on your system, and it will get, now it has copied to that. So it's executed there. All right. So we showed how we copied this particular file. So what we're going to do next is execute the second command. So we need to go to this folder /user/share x11 xkb/rules. So you just go to your terminal shell, and then you can just copy that, right? So I'm already in this folder. Then you say it's asking you to open a terminal in the rules folder and execute this command. So some of you may not have gedit, whether you have edit or vi, depending on which editor you have, you can use that to edit. So this is the file we are trying to edit. So always better you make a copy of that file. So what you do is sudo cp, okay, evdev.xml, you copy it to evdev.xml. Maybe you can put a underscore. My font is not so clear here, so you just try to either whatever name you would like, you would want to copy that, okay, as a backup. So I just copied into evdev. All right, evdev_back.xml. All right, so I just made a backup. So again, it's going to ask me for the root password, and you just type your root password. Okay, all right. So once you're in, so you got a backup now, you're safe. All right, so now you use your editor. So say for instance, and the other thing you might have to do is you have to, it's better to change the permissions, but since you're root, it may let you edit it. So let's give it a shot. So I'm going to use vi as my editor. So I'm going to edit that particular file, evdev.xml. All right, so it's going to open me the screen. So depending on your editor, you open whichever you wish. And the next step here is it says search for this layout list. All right, and then you got to paste all these things. So you copy all of these, right? Highlight up to here, right click, copy, right? So I need to go and find this first and insert it after this layout list. So I got to find this layout with a capital L list. All right, so here I'm going to find /layout list. Okay, so the pattern not found. So let's try it again. All right, there it is. So I did find layout list. And so what I've done is typically after this, right? So you need to move your cursor to the end of the line and then hit enter. And then you normally have to insert it here. So I've already inserted it here. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. So this is where after this layout list you're supposed to enter. So I've already copied here. So normally what you do is come here and say paste. So it would have copied all these things. All right, and then what you do is you kind of save it. Okay, so you give a colon and X, right, to save. So you can save that. So it'll come out and save. Okay, so that's all you got to do. So now what you have to do is you have to change some input methods. So in Linux, there is something called various ways to input into your system. So we have to install this thing called fcitx. Some of you may already have it. If not, we need to install this to input other languages, particularly Indic languages. As you see here, I got Thai, Vietnamese, and so on. But you know, we haven't really done much to our languages in India. So we need to do a little bit here. So what we have to do is now we are done with this. All right. So this process of copying the file. So two steps. One is to copy this first file Ka-Naada into this directory. Other one is to edit this particular files, right, called evdev.xml, and insert this text that's between here. Okay. So that's all you got to do. So it inserts a whole bunch of Indian languages suitable for our keyboard. So now that we're done with this, so we come back here to this package manager. So this is a program that's used to install packages. So this is Synaptic Package Manager under Systems. So again, once again, it's going to ask you for the root password. Please do give it. And now we need to find a program called fcitx. All right. So if you go to all, so if you come here, you can search it this way. Or the other approach is you go to utilities. Okay. If you come all the way left down here, so UVW. So under utilities or utilities universe, right? So you should be able to find now if you, there's a small cursor here on the right, so slider, if you slide it, you can see FCITX as you come down a little bit. You pull this down, and I think we went past FCITX. You can see a whole bunch of this FCITX. So if you don't find it here, it's likely that it's been installed for you guys. If not, so you should see an entry for FCITX here. All right. So you see for various languages, they've gotten this in here. So these are all the various languages. So you click on FCITX, and also there's something called FCITX. I think for the Windows Manager, your GP or something like that, GP2 or so. So you click on a couple of those FCITX, and there's something called table, FCITX table. You see very specific ones here. You click on the one that says table all, just like this. All right. So you say mark for installation. So that's what you do. You click on FCITX, FCI table all, and there should be one more for user interface. So it's, I think, called UI GP or something like that, like this UI light. These guys have a light, and you can click on tools. So this one part is what you would need. So if you already have it on your system, one way to check is you go to applications and you go to settings and or in system. So you would see this FCITX. All right. So under systems, normally you click it to run it. Okay. And then there is something under settings where you configure for various languages. So we're going to show you that. So that's the one thing that you got to install, and you got to press apply. So when you press apply, it's going to start installing the packages that you chose. All right. Since I've already got it installed, I'll say cancel. And the other thing you got to do is fonts. So you need to install some fonts for Indian languages. So if you go to fonts here, right? So this is under, so if you see under general here, under fonts. So if you come here, there should be something called fonts under India or Deva for Devanagari. So some of them have got a bunch of Indian fonts stored. Otherwise, individually you choose by the language. So for Kannada, you type fonts Ka-Naada. This has already been installed, so you see it in green here. All right. So you click on the languages that you wish. If you need Lohit, Assamese, Lohit, Bengali, and I think there is one that says India or so, which has got everything in it, most of it. So if you find that here, fonts dash India, you should be able to get most of them. If not, choose by your languages. So typically you would know Gubbi is Kannada, Devanagari is for Devanagari, and then some specific names are there like Lohit. So for each language, Lohit Bengali, Lohit Assamese, Lohit Devanagari. So you choose the ones that you wish. K and D is for Kannada. And then you again press apply to install. So that's about it. And sometimes you'll have to also go to settings and go to keyboard. All right. And then under keyboard, go to layout, and here make sure you got at least English installed in here. All right. So that's one thing you would need to do. So now once you install and you go to applications, sometimes you may have to reboot this, restart it. So if you can restart it by going here and say restart. All right. And you come down to applications, and here we run this input method. That's under system FCITX. So once it runs, you'll see a sign. Sometimes you may see the penguin sign here, the Linux sign, or you can see this keyboard sign. All right. And I'll quickly show you how to configure this. So you click on it, and you got this thing called configure input method. Once you come down here, all right. So you should, I've already done this. So normally you press plus, you'd only see English there, and you unclick this show current language. So then you should be able to see Ka-Naada. Even if you type just the first few letters, Ka, right? You can see that Ka-Naada keyboard, right? So you can choose the one that you wish. If you want Ka-Naada Bengali, Ka-Naada Punjabi, Ka-Naada, you need to find the Hindi ones or Kannada ones, okay? So you can see there are a whole bunch of other Indian keyboard layouts, but you need to make sure you choose Ka-Naada. This is for this particular keyboard that we're trying to install. So if you do hyphen, it should show most of the languages. Okay, Ka. So hyphen doesn't like hyphen in the search engine. So if you just go K, you can see Ka-Naada keyboard here, Ka-Naada Bengali, like that. So I've already installed Ka-Naada and so on. So that's what you would see once you choose that particular Ka-Naada that you wish, right? So it would have installed, like say Odia, right? So if you want to install Odia, then I'll say OK. So it would have installed Odia down here. And then you can move this up and down. So you can move it up or down the sequence of languages you wish. And the other quick thing you do is you need to iterate between these languages. So in your keyboard, you would press Control and space bar. So it will shift from English to this Indian languages that you install. All right. And then you press Control and Shift. Okay. Control and Shift. It will go between Kannada to Hindi to and so on. So Ka-Naada also has an English language here, right? So you can use this layout also. That is a Ka-Naada English compared to QWERTY. All right, now that we have done this, so one more quick thing you got to do is to switch, like I said, control space. So make sure that control space is there under trigger input method. So that will help you switch between languages when you press control and space. And to go between each of the languages, this left shift, okay? All right, so we got most of the things done. So we just start running it. If it's not running already, just press that. Or the other approach is, if you don't see it on the menu, you open a terminal emulator, right? And then you just type it here, FCITX, okay, and press enter. That's another way to get it running. So then you should see this icon here, or a little penguin Linux icon down here. So we talked about how to configure that for various languages. Now let's do some testing. All right. So I opened an editor here. So you open any editor you wish or any of the applications. And technically, you should be able to, this is now in English, right? So if I were to shift this, so I do control space bar, right? So it should shift the languages. So if not, you can go here. So it's already now came to Hindi. So you can toggle with the mouse also, because some of these editors may not be active in using your toggle. But now that you see, it's in Hindi. All right. So I want to go between Hindi to one more language is installed. I use Control Shift. Okay, it now went to English. That's on our Ka-Naada keyboard. All right. And I want to do Control Shift again. So it went to Malayalam. So I can now type Malayalam with our keyboard. So Control Shift. Now it went to Odia. So now I can type Odia. I should have the fonts. I haven't had the fonts installed. So that's why you'll see the square symbols. So once again, you go into settings and synaptic, or either way in systems or so, you go into this, go to the fonts and try to install the fonts for your language. Okay, that's important. So Control Shift. Now I come back to Kannada. Okay, so now I'm in Kannada. So let's do a quick test. So I'm going to connect this keyboard that we have and see how it works, right? So this keyboard. So I go to the USB port and I try to connect my keyboard. So I got it connected to a similar machine like this, right? A Linux port box. And here I am. So you can see the light has lit up in this. It's connected to the USB. You can still have the other keyboard connected, but be careful. Some of the USB hubs that you are using may need to be powered hubs, because it may not drive enough current to all the devices that you're trying to connect. So now I'm in English, right? So I press Control space bar. So now hopefully it has shifted. No, it did. So sometimes you got to make sure that, so we are back here. So in the mouse, you can do that too. So now I'm in Kannada. So let me check. Yes, Ka, Na, Vatakshar, Na, Tata, Da. All right. So I'm typing Kannada using Hindi keyboard. All right. So again, this is a font problem. So you make sure that you got the right fonts here, right? So you use, let's go into Chrome and see if it types correctly. So Ka, so again, I'm in English. So you can set this also. So you can make it one shot. So it can always go to the application you wish. Okay, Control spacebar works on the browser. So now I'm in Kannada. Ka, Na, Vatakshar, Na. So you can see now it's rendering it properly. So it's important you have the right fonts in your editor. All right. So now I can search using Hindi keyboard. I've typed Kannada. All right. So now it's gone to the browser. So I press enter. So it's going to find out and search. So again, it's very easy. So with one language, you can type any other language. So that's the beauty about this keyboard. So you can now go and All right. So you can now go and say I want to type in Hindi. So Controls Shift. Now I already shifted to Indian languages. So now it's in Hindi. Control Shift got me to Hindi. So Ka Na. Okay. Shift A. Ka-Naada. Ta ta da. Right. So I'm sorry. Ta ta da. So we can do a lot of these things now. So using natively, you can think and type. So this is the beauty about this. So you can go and search. So again, now this keyboard has been named after Ka-Naada Maharshi. So he was the first scientist for India. So we're really proud of him, and hope you have a good time installing this and using our keyboard. And again, to go back to English, you can use Control Space Bar. So it's now back to English. So you can now again type using the English QWERTY keyboard. So that's about all for the installation on Linux. Thank you again, and thanks for purchasing the Ka-Naada keyboard and supporting our languages. Goodbye. Namaste.